again. I'm Elizabeth Farish, board member of the Piscataqua Decorative Art Society, and I'm joined this morning by Elizabeth Aykroyd, another member of the board. And we are in the Congregational Church in Newcastle, New Hampshire, where Elizabeth is the resident historian, a member of this church, and you might know her as the curator of the Portsmouth Athenaeum. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad you came today because this, to me, is a fabulous church. It was built, the shell was built in 1828. The society was founded in 1827. They bought the old church from the town, and it probably fell down, so they started the new one, but they couldn't afford to finish it, and it was only finished in 1835, and that was done by Andrew B. Vennard, who later moved to Portsmouth and became mayor. So he was doing good things. So the interior, as you see it now, is almost exactly what Andrew B. Vennard left when he finished. The church was dedicated in 1836 and has been in existence ever since. And we have the original pews with the pew doors, the numbered pew doors. Of course, originally, they went right up to the edge, and there were what are called amen pews on each side of the pulpit, and those were removed, some of them were removed in the 1920s in order to put heat into the church, which is why there's a little bit of a raised platform there. And the original thing in the back, where you see a niche, that was original to the church. It was designed to hold a stove. So when they could afford to do that, they put a stove in. Stovepipe went up through the room above this, which is called the vestry, and then up into the attic, where the original chimney still is.
So this church was used year-round. It was never an unheated seasonal space.
No, it was used year-round. The box pews are one of the features that the members like the most here, and like many churches at this time, they funded the finishing of the church by selling the pews. And there are still people who sit in their family pew. And my ancestors were only here in the 17th century, so I can't lay claim to a pew. In the front, with the stairs were original, but the front of the pulpit has a marble tablet listing early ministers of the church. That was installed in 1854.
The decoration in the church is very simple. There's just the curved ceiling there, and then some panels on the ceiling. Is it meant to be architecturally very, very simple?
Yes. There is a cross over the pulpit now, but there was none originally. And the idea was you were supposed to concentrate on the sermon and not looking at something else.
Not looking at saints and cherubs.
And the ceiling would have been simple plaster originally. This was put in 1897 when they, as it says in the records, they steeled the ceiling.
Oh.
Say it's a tin ceiling.
And these columns here, they were all done in 1835. They were all part of the original construction.
Right. And Andrew B. Vennard was paid to construct all of the interior of the church, except the vestry, which is through that back door up in the balcony, which was just the only secular space in the church. And also not to do the doors for the pews in the balcony. And the balcony pews still have no doors. the lectern and the minister's chair were bought about 1911. And it's definitely not in the style that we're used to for a church like this.
Mm.
It is original.
Elaborate
Yes.
compared to the
Gothic
architecture.
revival.
Yeah.
The style of the beginning of the 20th century.
And was this dais always this shape?
No,
And
it
heights?
wasn't here. This has
It wasn't.
heat pipes running under it,
I see.
because this is where the heat comes out with the grates. So it would have been floor level, so there should have been one more step down.
I see.
That sort of explains why the newel post looks a little,
Right.
little truncated at the base.
Yes, yes. Because there should be one more. And you see, the pews came right up to the railing.
They were all up to here.
And actually, I think it was Peter who found some of the original pew doors in the attic. He was willing to climb up that 19th century
He was.
ladder, but I wasn't. So he pulled them down and we've stored them upstairs because we don't want to lose any of them.
No. And you mentioned you can just see through this window here what has turned into a gazebo that started its life out on top of this building.
Right. About 15 years ago, it was proposed to have a cell phone tower in the church steeple, as many churches have. And they said, well, we need to replace the cap with something fiberglass instead of wood. And so the state came in and said, important church, you can't destroy it. So it was a suggestion of Aaron Sturgis, as a matter of fact, to put the cap on a gazebo.
So it was removed, but it did not go far.
No. So we had a big fundraising campaign and built the gazebo, and it has been really quite successful. They have concerts in the summer,
Oh, nice.
where people sit on the lawn, and people will occasionally meet there,
Yeah.
especially in these days of COVID where you have to do things outdoors.
Everything has to be
Meet in the
outside.
gazebo.
Is there an active congregation here?
There is, it's small,
Hmm.
but we have members from all over. And in these days, when all of our services are via Zoom, we have members from Texas, Arizona, and California who join us.
Wow. Do they have a family connection, or did they just randomly find you?
Some of them have family connection, and others, they had lived here
I
and
see.
have moved since that time.
I see.
But it's a very exciting kind of thing. And even on Christmas Eve, they did open the church, but it was just basically a walkthrough.
Oh.
And it was on Zoom for anybody who wanted
Nice.
We've
just
noticed
watch
that
it.
your orientation has been shifted a little. So you're
Yes, because-
pastor?
to. Our pastor,
Your pastor,
Meg
thank you.
Watson, stands here. And so what you see behind her
Yeah.
is a scene so that you can see the crash and so forth.
But usually she would stand on the tall dais underneath the cross for a regular in-person service.
Well, she hasn't been here.
Oh.
We hired her on Zoom
Oh.
as our
she's
minister
new.
and called her via a Zoom meeting. And so all of her services that she has done are Zoom.
Wow.
So and I don't know, our last minister didn't like the high pulpit, so he used the lectern, but I'm not sure what she's going to do.
Right. Interesting. And back here, there's a little cabinet of pewter, and perhaps, I don't know if that picture is silver or not. Are those special items relating to the church?
They are at some of the original communion service,
Oh.
which at some point disappeared
Oh.
and was found in a house in Newcastle where somebody had taken it home for safekeeping because they didn't use it anymore.
Were they gifted to the church?
They were, or some purchases.
I see. And now they're safe in their locked cabinet, so they don't go home with anybody.
Well, that's the idea. It's anything like the town records were in people's houses, and
Oh,
church
yeah.
records were in people's houses, and we're trying to maybe
Yeah.
centralize that right now.
On some of these plaques on the wall, there's some familiar local names like Wentworth, and Alden, and Talbot. Have there been significant people who've attended this church, or are those?
Well,
Directors.
Alden was a 19th century pastor of the church, and he was here for a very long time, somewhere around 31 or 2 years. Anne Weber Smart was a local poet,
Oh.
and her house is still standing, it's down the street. And the other two are for longtime members.
Longtime members. The select few. And when was this ceiling done?
This is part of the 1897.
Okay. And other than that, not much has changed, just a little,
Just a little change in the front,
and just to get a heating system
and
in.
there was another pew here.
Okay.
This is really waiting for another
It's
pew.
next one.
There was at least one more here. And my husband went through and tracked all the numbers and figured out which pews should be what number.
Oh, good.
And so he figured that, yes, there should be a couple more pews, but it's been opened up.
Was this post added in more recent years for structural support?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, there is a mark on it. It had something else here. And I'm not quite sure what that was.
Oh, yeah. Almost looks, it's like a little rabbit. It's for a pocket.
Slotted something else in.
It's at the same height as the pew,
Yeah.
your walls
Right,
separate
and
the pews.
I'm thinking it may have had another pew this far
Yeah.
back. This should have been a popular pew because the
Because you'd be so warm. Yes.
Would it be possible to take a quick look from the balcony?
Sure. I would have been able to do this before my surgery.
Yeah, these are steep stairs.
Yes.
Now that's a pretty good view.
It shows the original windows, which is nice.
Oh, yes, very nice. And you open those blinds
We do.
for the arched windows, yeah.
We do. I think it's been closed for the sake of photography.
I see. These nice rigid pews
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
help you keep your posture. Do you know when the building was electrified?
I think maybe 100 years ago,
Okay.
for a guess, because I've seen whale oil lamps
Ah,
hanging from the,
in photos.
Yes, in
Yeah.
photos.
Good clues.
there are 2 or 3 old photos where you can see them.
So in other churches, there's a sacristy or a small private area for the priest to prepare, or pastor, to prepare the sacrament and things like that. Where does the
That would be
pastor-
here,
Oh,
behind us.
I see.
This is what's called the vestry. That was the original name. You see, it's now mostly storage,
Right.
but it was a Sunday school room.
Oh, yes. A multi-purpose room.
Absolutely. And you can see the patch in the
Yeah.
ceiling right here, where the stovepipe went through.
Ah.
And this is a little counter that's actually made out of parts of the pew. And some of the old pew doors that
Oh, the
Peter
big storage.
nicely hauled down for us.
Nice.